Hey, Master Coach G here, thriving after 50, mind, body, soul, and welcome to another episode. And in this episode, I have a very special guest, Coach Charlene Montgomery. She is a life coach specializing in helping divorced women over 50 rebuild their emotional, mental, and physical strength, and by helping them to reclaim their happiness and purpose. Coach Charlene has over 26 years of experience in behavior change, and she helps women to transform their life through the transition of divorce. So stay tuned for some helpful information that is going to be very enlightening. This is Master Coach G, and I will see you on the inside. Hey fam, Master Coach G here, thriving after 50, mind, body, soul. And in this week's episode, we are talking about the healthy side of divorce. I know it sounds crazy, but with some insight and direction, it's possible to heal a healthy way through those challenging times. So today, I am blessed to be joined by Coach Charlene Montgomery. She is a life coach that specializes in helping divorced women over 50 rebuild their emotional, mental, and physical strength so that they can confidently reclaim their happiness and purpose in life. So, with that being said, I want you all to tune in, tune your ears in, because I know that this is something that's going to be very helpful to you. As Coach Charlene shares some insight, I'd like to welcome Coach Charlene Montgomery to the show. Welcome, Charlene. How are you today?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I think that this is definitely a subject that you don't hear much about, because I've never spoken with a divorce coach. I know they have therapists and counselors and things of that nature, but I think as we were having a conversation on yesterday, that the thing about a coach is that we give you the plays. We give you direction on how you can get through things in reference to our health and wellness, divorce, helping with our children, whatever the case may be. So coaching is a little bit different, but I appreciate you being here to be able to share some insight to us, so that we can heal and get through these challenging times. So, Coach Charlene, I'm going to let you have the floor and you share some information that is going to be helpful to us.
Thank you. So I have been looking forward to this since we first kind of approached the idea. And I thought about just how my experience with my divorce went. And I honestly, a little background information is the reason I ended up where I am in my business. And I also started out with in the health and wellness field with coaching. And I knew that that was part of it, but that wasn't the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went through my divorce, I had this thought, and that's where it all starts, right? Like how we're thinking about the situations and the circumstances that come to us or that we're involved in. And I had the thought that I did not want to be or go through divorce as I have seen other women around me go through
Mm-hmm.
that process. And I didn't know at the time what was supposed to be different, or was I crazy to think that way? If And the interesting thing was I thought, if I come through this and everyone sees that I'm happy, will they think I wasn't happy in my marriage? And why that thought occurred to me, I honestly have no clue. But
Mm.
I was like, well, I don't want to be mean and not necessarily mean. I don't want to be angry and sad all the time. So what do I need to do? And my sister gave me, um, I think, two pieces of kind of her form of advice. And one of them was, don't ever let him see you crying in front of him. And um, make him regret what he did. Now, for us, regret wasn't slashing tires and breaking windows or just being angry and snappy all the time. For me, I looked at making him regret it as I'm going to be better, even better than I was when we were married. I'm going to be a better woman, a better mother, and I'm going to look like I did when we met in college.
All
So
right now.
that was my form of revenge and making him regret it. And so then it became, well, what do I need to make these things happen? Now, at the time, I had never been coached. This was in 2008. I had never been coached. The only reference I had to coaches was in sports. And they were out there, and life coaches have been out for decades. Um, but I just never was a part of that world. So once I had that thought in my mind, I started taking the steps, and I actually lost 73 pounds.
Wow.
I Right, and I've kept it off for the past 16, 17 years now. I can't believe it's been that long. Um, and I wanted to just be the best mom that I could be going through something that was so challenging for me. And so I set out to make those things true. And here we come with the healthy side of divorce. And it just mind, body, nutrition, and movement, how all of those things work together and can work together
Mm-hmm.
in order to come out and create a life that's filled with more intention, that's filled with more happiness, and filled with more purpose moving forward. And when I thought about like I can do all of that after going through something so devastating, like I can actually make that happen. For me, something opened up. Something, my mind was like blown. And when you can blow your own mind, let me just say,
I know that's right.
when you can blow your own mind, it just keeps evolving. And here I am now in business as a life coach for divorced women over 40.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me some of the things that you put in place in order to be able to do this successfully in reference to your feelings, the circumstances, your children. How did you? What steps did you take in order to get to where you are right now, on the healthy side of divorce?
Oh, I can talk about this all day. So I love it. Well, with regards to the advice my sister gave, the kind of fake it till you make it, or don't let him see me cry in front of him. It was kind of that fake it till you make it. That's basically what I took her advice to mean, and what that meant to me, because I hear it all the time, and I was like, I don't even like the way that sounds. But for this particular situation, what that meant to me was, in while I may in front of him or interacting with him, not show him like how the things affected me, doesn't mean I cover it up. Doesn't mean I run from it. It's like in the background, I'm still doing the work to address my emotions. So what does that mean? To process them. I came up with this process that I actually use now on myself almost every day. I'm going through this.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part was feeling it. Now this is to me the hardest part because I like not necessarily like to, it's like an automatic reflex for when
Mm-hmm.
something hard and challenging comes up for me. Part of what I used to do was I would block it out, or I'd be like, yes, I'm upset, and I don't have to pay attention to that. I can still keep going. Kind of that strong black woman syndrome that we do that can become unhealthy because what it does is it shove those emotions down. I get to a point to where you're just like pushing them down and you're not acknowledging them. And they're there, but in the back of your mind, you're going to deal with it later, maybe. Um, and later becomes never, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to work through letting myself feel those hard things, letting
Mm-hmm.
myself, and when I say feel, feelings are two parts. They're physical sensations
Mm-hmm.
and their emotions. So when we
Yes.
say feelings, we're literally talking about what our body feels
Yes.
and the emotion that you're experiencing. So the hardest part for me to deal with, and there are going to be different emotions that affect us differently. For me, it was disappointment. Like I just didn't want to do disappointment, and that's an even longer story because that goes back to my childhood. But when disappointment hits me, I shut down. Meaning, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk to you about it. I probably don't want to talk to you. I'm not going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to let myself feel it because disappointment just feels felt so horrible for me.
Mm, yeah.
And so I had to learn what was happening with my body when that was going on. So literally tuning in, and I'll talk a little bit uh, about that later, what it means to tune in. So literally tuning in to the physical sensations I was having around
Mm-hmm.
the disappointment of my divorce, the hurt, the anger,
Mm-hmm.
the audacity, like how dare you leave? I had to I had to deal with all of that
Yes.
and make it make sense for me in a way that becomes that became this process. Sorry, that became this process
Mm-hmm.
that just felt like I could handle everything. So I let myself feel it. I had to name it because I don't even like to say the word disappointment. And what I realize is once you name that thing, it loses its power. It
Yes.
loses its grip over you. So you
Yes.
have to name it and
Mm-hmm.
take away the power. So I learned
Mm-hmm.
how to name it. I allowed it to be there, and we're like, allow it. What do you mean? So when I allow it to be there, I actually learned this technique from my coach, and it was like, what if you just didn't push it away? You just walked around with the feeling all day. Don't push it away. Don't stuff it down. You don't even have to really talk about it, but you know physically it's there. And what I discovered from allowing it to be there was something magical because I remember saying to myself, come on, disappointment, just have a seat on my shoulder. We're going to wash the dishes. We're going to load the dishwasher, or we're going to make our meal for the week. And what I noticed, I don't even think it was halfway through my day. I looked up and I said, hmm, where, where did that go?
Mm.
Like, and I said the word out loud again, disappointment. And I was like, oh, when you allow it and you give it space, the hard feelings, the hard emotions, like not shoving them down, not disregarding them, magically, they're like, thank you. We had our time.
Well, you know what? I think that that is a natural response for us to do that, and doing what you just spoke of. It takes practice. You
Right.
know, it's not anything that we just automatically know how to do. We have to practice that in order to be able to manage that because, our natural response is to not want to deal with it.
Mm.
Just shut it out, stuff it down. So yeah, but it does take practice to do that.
It does, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that the first time I tried that, but it went successfully well. My mind and my body was like, mm-mm, nope, not today. Nope, we're not even gonna think about it. But
Oh
I kept
yeah.
trying. I kept
Mm-hmm.
giving
Mm-hmm.
myself opportunities. Now, I
Yes.
didn't feel disappointment every day, but when I noticed my body and my thoughts and even my heart trying to shut down, because the interesting thing is it shows up in just everyday little things. Like that thing you're hiding from,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
finds a way to show up and call your attention to it. And so when it would show up for me, I said, what if I just took notice of it? What if I just did that part? And that was kind of my practice for it. So then I finally got to the point to where I could allow it to sit on my shoulder for the day. And it didn't last the day because I thought my take on hard emotions used to be if I let myself feel it, they're going to overwhelm me and take over, and I won't be able to come back from them. That was literally my thoughts. And I was like, where did I even get that thought from? And I honestly couldn't tell you. I did the work. I thought about it. I reviewed my mindset. Like, I don't know where that crept in. And so I was like, well, it doesn't necessarily matter. Here's where I am now. And so I allowed the feeling to be there. And then I honored it for what it was telling me. Because disappointment for me was telling me that something didn't go as I expected. Something didn't go as I even hoped or was planning for it to go. And you've shown me now, this is part of that honoring, you showed me now that I can get through this. That I it's not, you know what? Disappointment is not that hard. But like you said, I had to practice and I had to get to that point. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't an overnight thing. And this is I love walking my clients through this process and helping them, just being able to really tune in to those small, subtle things that can happen when we kind of self sabotage and we're trying to we kind of want to avoid that or get away from it because it's so uncomfortable. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to normalize feelings for everyone and talking about them and actually processing them because we are made to do hard things and we can actually get through them.
Yes.
And then the last part of that process, after I honor the feeling and really acknowledge what it gave me during that time, I nurture it. So sometimes nurturing can be a small ceremony, just like um, just kind of sitting on the couch. I remember sitting on my couch after work and just letting it sit there. I was so proud of myself. Let me tell you, my nurturing in that moment was just to be proud that I got through that day and I noticed how it just dissolved and resolved itself. Sometimes with nurturing, it might be treating yourself, going to a spa, getting a massage. Sometimes there's a release that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes.
sometimes it might be journaling about it or talking to someone else. And it really just depends on how that emotion is showing up for you. And the natural way to nurture just comes to you. You don't have to plan on anything big. It's just like in that moment, what small form of gratitude can I show myself? What is something, do I actually need in this moment after going through that? Because it can also be tiring. Sometimes you might just need a nap.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
It sounds like what the steps that you just gave. It sounds like I did a podcast early last year, and
Mhm.
it was awareness, accountability, and adjustments. But the thing about it is that what we can't work on things and we can't fix things if we're not aware of what it is that we're feeling or what the
Right.
circumstances are. So we have to be aware of it. And it sounds like that was one of the first things that you became, was you was aware of what you were feeling. You were aware that it was disappointment. You were aware that it was hard. But then you also acknowledged it, but you acknowledged it without judgment. And you do
Mhm.
have to be able to acknowledge without judgment, because sometimes we can beat ourselves up. We can look at it as, oh, I failed in my marriage, or, now
Mhm.
I got to, co-parent. And, so once we acknowledge it without the judgment, then we can go in and make the adjustments. And it sounds like
Mhm.
those were the steps that you took in order for you to be able to get to where you are right now. And I think that it does take that. But you mentioned something earlier about tuning in. Can you
Mhm.
share a little bit more about that?
Tuning in, it took me a while. Everything was practice and
Mm-hmm.
guidance, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So tuning in is pretty much that intent, kind of being intently aware, like
Mm-hmm.
of what your body is doing and how it's responding to circumstances or events that happen. So one of the things I was going to share is when it comes to that tuning in, it requires a moment of silence. Now, do you have to sit in silence all day? No. But in order to hear it, I think this is something we don't practice often. We kind of
Mm-hmm.
do it, but we don't really make it a practice, I should say.
Right.
So it's having that moment of silence to just do a check in and really notice where our body is, what thoughts are popping up for us, what feelings are we having just from starting the day. And I started doing this even more lately
Mhm.
because I just wanted to have that a higher level of awareness. And so it's tuning in is really just about centering on yourself and just allowing
Mm.
yourself that time. And you
Mhm.
can literally, honestly, you can literally do this for a minute right before you get up. Before you get up in the morning, right when you wake up. But it's just that silence. You know how when you wake up and it's still dark and
Yes.
everything, the world just feels quiet.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's in that moment between waking up and getting out of the bed that our bodies and our minds are more open. So it's
Yes.
a perfect time to just check in, right? So it's
Mhm.
like a very high level check in with yourself.
Yes.
And when I do it, you can do it before you even meditate. You can do it before if you pray in the morning. You can do it before that. Because once you wake up, your brain is at a certain level of awareness and you want to
Mhm.
bring that in more intentionally before even
Yes.
starting your day. So what I do is honestly just do a body scan. Where am I feeling any aches or discomfort and
Mhm.
physically?
Mhm.
And then it's like, oh, what's coming up for me about the way, about how I feel about my day? When I think about my day, what's coming up for me right now? If there's any negative feelings there or hard feelings there, if you're dreading the day, or if you're really looking forward to it, just making note, no judgment, just making note
Yes.
of what thoughts and feelings are coming up for you about the day.
Mhm.
And then the next step is picturing how you want that to go for you.
Mhm.
Now, people are like, why would you do that? You can't tell the future. But it's not about that. You're really just getting a general picture. So if you have a meeting, picturing your meeting going smoothly, your interactions with the people in the meeting are more connective or more intentional. You're really they're communicating very effectively where you all hear each other. Let's say if you deal with clients or patients, you see all of the ways you're helping them. You're noticing just how enjoyable of a day you're having with interacting with other people. And this is just an example because I don't know what everybody does, of course, but you're picturing your day in a way that is more positive. Now, that doesn't mean your day will look exactly like that, but what it opens you up to is having thoughts and feelings about your day that feel energizing, that do feel more positive, and if it doesn't look the way you pictured, it doesn't go the way you had hoped, what happens is it gives you that sense of whatever comes up, I got this. So it's a preparation for your day so
Yes.
that you can start thinking more positively. Well, this didn't may not have went well, but I still feel good about the interactions. I still feel good about the communication. This particular situation might not have been as fluid as I wanted it to be, but you know what? I still came through it. I was able to stay calm. I was able to state my point and my objective. I was able to interact in a more positive way, and so it just prepares you and sets you up for more structured way of feeling positive about your day.
And I think that's really important, because I think that when you, and of course I've been through a divorce as well, but I think that when you first wake up in the morning, and especially if you're used to having your spouse, next to you, it's like in the beginning, you kind of have all these thoughts, and so that is a good practice, and that will definitely take practice as well. That tuning in thing, but we have to be tuned into our uh, emotions as well as our mindset, because there's a mind body connection, and the two work together. So that is very powerful to be able to start your day that way, because it gives you some type of direction,
Right.
and you're intentional about it too as well.
Yes, and that's what I'm all about, that intention. And to me, that's what feels powerful. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the idea of me taking that responsibility for my own day. I don't leave that in anybody else's hands. So if something goes wrong, even if I say something wrong myself or say something to anger someone or hurt someone's feelings, one, it's not done with intention of doing that. But two, I know that the next day I can do better. And
Yes.
I take and I learn from that. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't realize that we can learn from those things and take our own power from those things that don't go how we expect, that disappoint us, that hurt us, that make us angry. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we can take our own power back and be able to just have an intentional life. And it takes one day at a time, step by step,
Yes.
really understanding and tuning into what you want to get out of your day, out of your life, out of your morning, even if you start somewhere simple. And once I learned like that skill, I'll say, oh, I'm not giving my power to anybody else ever again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yep.
responsible for my own happiness. You can't take it away because you didn't give it to me.
That's
And
right.
so I'm very adamant about helping people and helping women through that.
Yes, and again, it is something that that has to be practiced, and that's
Right.
why having a life coach in that does what you do is important. Because again, therapy is good. Don't get me wrong. I have nothing against it. Counseling is great, but the thing about being a coach is that we're going to give you a play by play. It's like one little, I always tell people the way you eat an elephant is one bite at a time. You cannot eat the whole elephant at once. So you take one bite at a time. So even if practicing this takes you one whole month or 2 whole months to get step one down, it's okay. Because once you
Right.
get it, then you can move forward in that power. And then you can go to the next step. And it does take practice, it does. But I think that it is something that should be definitely out there so that people know that it's an option that you know uh because some people feel like when they go to a therapist that they can talk, but they're not getting any type of resolution or no type of answers on what direction they should go, or how they can be intentional about getting through the challenges of the divorce and stuff. So that's why I think coaching is so important, because
Mhm.
you're helping people with the plays. It's like when you look at any sport, it doesn't matter what the sport is, the coach is always calling the plays, and that's what we do. We call the plays to help you to win, and we want to see you win. And when you talk about a divorce, you definitely want to see women healed completely, because most of us, through our marriage, we had children. In my case, I had a child, and it was real difficult, because I'm dealing with my emotions, and then
Right.
my energy is being passed on to my daughter. And it was
Mhm.
just, so that's the other thing that we have to be aware of too, is that our energy, our children pick up on that, and not to say that divorce is easy, by no means a stretch of the imagination is it, but we also have to be strong enough and resilient enough so that whatever it is that we're going through, whatever emotions that we're feeling, that we're not passing that energy on to our children.
And I'm so glad you brought that up. Because a lot of times we're so in our stress and so in our distress that we don't realize that our energy, not only as mothers, but as women, our energy sets the tone for the house.
Yep.
And and when we are in a space of hurt and distress, we don't
Mm-hmm.
often realize how we're interacting with other people. So one of the things one of the many things I do love about being a coach is helping women understand that, how they set the tone and the energy for the house, and then how they can also shift the tone and the energy. Because when
Mm-hmm.
they get into a space where they feel calmer, they feel more in control of what the shape that their life is taking, what they're going to do is they're going to model that for their child. And
Mm-hmm.
not only are they going to model that, they're going to interact with their child in a way that says, I know we've been through some hard things, and here is what we do when we go through some hard things. And
Mm-hmm.
so your children are going to start to understand, like, oh, even when things are hard, I can talk about it. Even when things are hard, I get to have my feelings and give space to them. Even when things are hard, my mom is going to be here for me. Even when things are hard, we can talk to people about just what's going on. So I just think of all of that and how your family is just restored through that. And I think when we think of divorce, we always think of, yes, broken home, things like that. But for me, I never got the broken home part, because for my
Mm-hmm.
son, it was like his dad and I broke up, but his home isn't broken.
Right.
So the energy I brought to him was, yes, we went through our family looks different now, but we're
Mm-hmm.
just going to shape it to how we want it to look. We're going
Mm-hmm.
to restore it to how we want it to look.
Yes.
And now you have something that, yes, looks different than maybe some of your friends,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something better and stronger. So
Yes.
we get to shape our family in a new way and make that look any way that we decide. And so why not decide to make it look stronger, to make it feel stronger? And instead of operating from broken places, because I don't believe anyone is broken, I believe we're all whole.
Yes.
But our experiences can make us feel broken and
Yes.
feel like we're operating from brokenness, but we're not. We're just operating from a broken space, but we're not broken ourselves.
Yes.
And that is one thing I was adamant about. My son is not broken, and
Yes.
so
Yes.
I need to do what I need to do to make it so. Like, I don't want him ever to think that he is in any way broken. And if he does for some reason, then here's how we heal from that, and here's how we work through it.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
think once we all know that we come whole and we come as we were meant to be, then we start to know, like, if I'm already a whole person, then how would I interact with my child? Then what
Yes.
am I bringing to my child? You're
Mm-hmm.
bringing healing energy, you're bringing transformation, you're bringing clarity, you're bringing love and positivity and gratitude. That doesn't mean you're not hurt, but you're
Right.
able to show those things more. And that
Absolutely. Yes. And that is the one thing that not only do our children or child needs, but we need it as well in order to be able to even, give that off to our children. This is really, really good information, great insight, on going through this challenging time with divorce. But like you said, there is a healthy side of divorce, and I think that that is something that um, you know people need to know. They need to know that there's a healthy side to divorce. So I would like to definitely have you back on the show again, so we can share more information, because like you said, you can talk about this all day, and it is a subject that needs to be noted, and people do need to know this information. But I do appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and share with us this information, this vital information, to help us through this healing process of divorce, and how it can be healthy for us to go through these challenging times. So, if you don't mind, Coach Charlene, could you leave the audience with your email? It is going to be in the description with the podcast, but if you could share that information, I'll make sure that everybody gets it. If there's anything else that you want to share, please feel free to do that at this time.
well, thank you. First, I want to say thank you so much for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I can't wait to come back. I would love to continue this. But you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Charlene Michelle. And noticed my mother had to be special. Okay, so Michelle is spelled Michae, like Michael, LLE. Okay, it's spelled like Michael with an LE. Charlie Michelle on Facebook and Instagram. And my email is charlenemichaellecoaching at Gmail. So feel free to send me a message. I love interacting with you. You can DM me on social media. I'm there often. I would say every day, but I'm there often. And I would just love to connect with you.
Awesome. I appreciate you. Charlene Michelle, and that is a very unique way that your mom spelled Michelle. Very, very unique. I like that.
Yes.
But thank you so much for being here, and we are definitely going to reconvene with this conversation because, again, it is a subject that is so needed. And thank you so much for joining us here on Thriving After 50, Mind, Body, Soul. And listen, we will talk soon. Thank you so much. You have a great day. Hey, that's what we have for you today. I hope this episode has added value to your life. If it has, please share it with someone that this may benefit. And also subscribe to my channel so that every time I drop a new episode, you will be notified. But before I get out of here, I have got to give a shout out to my listeners around the world, here in the United States, Canada, Australia, Russia Federation, China, Mexico, Belgium, Ireland, South Africa, Brazil, Nigeria, United Kingdom, Germany, France, Bangladesh, Ukraine, Kuwait, India, Hong Kong, Dominican Republic, Philippines, Barbados, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Japan, Netherlands, Pakistan, Indonesia, and Portugal. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for joining me here on Thriving After 50, Mind, Body, Soul. This is Master Coach G, and I will see you on the next level.